Big Sports Radio final day, final weekend of September, as Sunday, as you know, 1st of October. And here we go. Hope you got your pumpkins out. Larry Smith, Brad Sturdy, Mike Hegley. We've got lots to talk about. Guys, we have got one of the coolest guests in the long history, which goes, maybe 60 episodes or so of this show. Jerome Bettis, the bus, is in the house. That's coming up a bit later. Also, we'll hear from in the second hour, for those who are hanging around for hour number 2, Tom Kakert of HawkeyeReport.com talking about Iowa and Penn State. But guys, first off, we'll start with this scandal du jour. We're back to Michigan State now. And Mel Tucker, it's official. He is out as Michigan State coach. The AD just said, yeah, what you've already admitted to, that alone is enough to fire you for cause.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that this was the where this was going to end up, right? I mean, we pretty much know this now. And Michigan State's going to save a ton of money and off of this Mel Tucker deal, and Mel Tucker's going to lose a ton of money. Hope it was worth it, buddy.
Yeah, and you read from different people who are lawyers that it's going to be a tough case for Mel Tucker in court. I would assume that he's shooting for a number a lot less than $80 million to be returned to him, and every dollar counts. So maybe he'll just go ahead and file just because. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you almost have to, right? Go through the motions at least. I mean, your attorney is going to get a third. So right away, he or she or they are saying, yeah, do this. Absolutely. But he did have 7 days to, write back after he received notice. They were going to terminate him for cause. His attorneys on Monday turned in the 7th day, turned in a 25-page affidavit explaining why all the reasons this wasn't fair, that you didn't hear his point of it. And after a couple of days on Wednesday, the athletic director, Alan Howard, just came back and said, yeah, again, forget about whatever's out there, what you've already admitted to. And he's admitted to quite a bit. That's where as Brad said, we're kind of shocked that he admitted to that anyway. Dan Wolken of USA Today was the one who broke this story and really was all over it. And it was interesting. He had a really good article Wednesday afternoon in the evening, if you get a chance, go back and look at it. And he talked about it. He said, where did Mel Tucker think this was heading? I mean, even his accuser, the woman who filed the Title IX complaint, Brenda Tracy, her history, she's a rape survivor. She goes around to college campuses, lectures, and works with young people in terms of sexual harassment and that kind of thing. Even she made a statement saying that, she felt that he got close to her, or he, signed on to her cause because he was interested in getting close to her.
Yeah, I don't know what he thought was going to happen here. I mean, I really don't. I mean, what was your end goal here? Like,
how you doing? It's like Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah. Like,
how you doing?
Maybe he just thought he was checking the inseam. Isn't that how you do
it? In prison.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, yes.
This is just one of those things where there's just things that if you have to explain them to your mom, or you have to read them in the newspaper, and you can't bear to think of either situation, you shouldn't do it. And this is one of those situations where you're going to have to explain as a married man what your plan was. That would have been a real early point to say, I probably shouldn't do this.
Well, that's the thing for me. And guys, listen, if I ever tell you a story that I was on a phone and did what I'm not going to say here on the air, but did what he's admitted to doing on a phone, I want you to take me, square me up, and slap me. Dude, you lost $80 million.
That was expensive. It was an expensive phone call.
Yeah.
It was really long distance, huh?
It was long distance, and you were all by yourself when you lost it.
You definitely got taken deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Michigan State, that's, out of the way for now in terms of he's officially fired. They have their own problems, though. I mean, they have looked terrible these last two games against arguably their best two opponents. At home against Washington and home against Maryland. Their defense can't stop anything. And now they get an Iowa team that has its own problems. So you go from there. They get that cleaned up, although, again, we know there's some litigation coming down the road.
Their defense can't stop anything, but I bet they can stop Iowa.
And Michigan State is like playing Russian roulette because they've got one bullet in the chamber. They've got one good game, and there's one team in the Big Ten who's going to go, yeah, how'd you get beat by them? Well, they were good that week. And you don't want to be that team. You know what I mean? I mean, Illinois is like, oh, look, we had that happen to us last year. And Iowa's like, we don't want this to happen to us. We don't want to have that happen to us.
Yeah.
But you watch, they will have one game this year where that team has some talent on it from the standpoint of recruits. And they will go out one game this year and play well. And then the rest of the Big Ten will be like, how'd that happen to you?
Yeah. We look at it last year that Michigan State, that one good game in Champaign, cost Illinois the West Division.
Exactly.
And it could do the same this weekend in Iowa City. Night game out there, 7:30 Eastern, the game on NBC. A couple of teams that are off this week, Ohio State and Wisconsin. Listen, the Buckeyes, I know you're not supposed to talk about a team that's off or whatever, but listen, they still get the win of the week. There have been some really fun, thrilling games in September, right, to start this season. I credit some of these big schools playing other big schools. Ohio State and Notre Dame, the return game from last year's game in Columbus. What a thriller. Not a lot of scoring, but boy, what a win for Ohio State and a coming of age for their young quarterback, Ryan McCord.
Yeah, he was fantastic down the stretch, just made the right plays. And, I really feel like going into that environment, I mean, that was a crazy environment. I mean, that was very difficult to win. And we've seen teams go on the road, and there's been a couple this year of really massive road wins. Texas and Alabama obviously be one, and then Ohio State and Notre Dame. And it puts the Buckeyes firmly in that national championship contender.
And if you're Notre Dame, how do you explain how you call timeout and for two plays you can't count to 11? And so you end up with 10 players on the field. You lose a game that arguably, if they win this game, that certainly opens up a doorway or a path to the national or to the CFP. And again, I'm not saying they would have stopped Ohio State, but I like my odds with 11 players on my defense a lot better than I do with 10. And
Ohio State didn't notice the first time.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. That's one thing. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. I mean, for two plays in a row after a timeout where you didn't have enough players on the field. I mean, they have guys in the booth, right? I mean, so you see the first play, it's like, hey, we only had 10. Run a guy in there. I mean, I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of the start of History of the World when Mel Brooks has the 15. He goes, I have these 15. And then he drops the tablet and it breaks. 10 commandments.
There you go. Love the 80s movie reference. We can get it in. So, Notre Dame, they may come up in December in which they had that one back. Just that one play. And they ran right to where number 11 was not. So, kudos to the Buckeyes for seeing this. Hey, after the game, Ryan Day, usually kind of stoic, right? Conserved and, just kind of does his thing. Showing a little emotion on NBC. In case you missed it, here it is.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team, I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world. But I'll tell you what, I love those kids, and we got a tough team.
What did they prove to you tonight in this victory that you'll take away and run with?
Toughness. Everybody's questioning these kids all the time. We had one bad half the last couple years. That's it. Everybody wants to question these guys. These guys are warriors right here. To come back and win, this kid right here to come back in the second half and win, I'm emotional about this for a reason. A lot of people question these kids and say a lot of things about them. I love them. When someone attacks your family, to come in and win like this is special. It's a great win for our program and a great win for Ohio State.
Handling his inner Mike Gundy. Just I don't know. No, Lou Methuselah Holtz is probably not the guy you need to go after in this. I mean, and Holtz doubled down. Obviously, we're gonna, as we saw, but I think it was fun. I think he did that. That was like a planned thing if they won the game. I mean, I think he was planning on doing that because, and maybe it motivates team. Maybe it's just, I think he does it for fun. It was just need to show a different side and be that kind of put on that tough guy. Because here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but that's been the knock, is that they're a little soft at the point of contact, not tough and not physical. And that's why they lost to Michigan and so forth. And so Day's trying to challenge that a little bit. Yeah.
I got to be honest. I am so tired of the us against the world crap. You're Ohio State. It's us against the world. Yeah, you've had 5 losing seasons since 1951. Show us how you overcome. It's a little bit like Deion with his, the world's against us. I get so tired of that type of motivation, and we see it all over society, even outside of sports. Hey, the fact of the matter is that Michigan has whooped you guys 2 years in a row, and their offense and defensive line have smashed yours in the face at the start of the game, and your guys have backed up and they haven't done what they need to do. Until Ohio State beats Michigan, and they very well might, but until they do that, Ryan Day can whine and cry as much as he wants. You earned the reputation, and now you got to go out and unearn it. And yelling at an 86-year-old guy who used to tell us whenever Notre Dame played Navy that Notre Dame was probably going to get beat. I mean, if you're going to – I just don't think that's going to take away the knock. You're going to have to wipe it off the face of the Michigan Lions, and they haven't been able to the last couple of years. End of rant. It's me against the world. It's me against the world.
Mike against the rest of us.
All of a sudden, he's Tupac. It's just me against the world. It's no, I agree. And Lou came back later and actually said, look, Ohio State's a good football team. I don't think they're great. I mean, he came out and said that. And by the way, you're exactly right that we didn't play it in that clip, but Ryan Day was heard on an open mic right before he did the NBC postgame interview. He said, hey, watch this. So, yeah, there's a little bit of showmanship in that. But you know what? Look, you've got a national TV audience. Why not? Makes for good drama. And guess what? It's their off week, and we're still talking about it, right?
So it's hard for me to talk about the underprivileged Ohio State Buckeyes, though.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, at least when, you mentioned Deion, at least Deion's taken over a program that is god-awful. Like, I mean, they're only relevant because he's coaching, right? But Ryan Day's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't get it.
Let's go one step further, though. Like, if Indiana coach is going to do that, I'm going to listen because they've been horrible my whole life. They know what it's like to be the bottom. Northwestern used to be that way, and then they've had a series of coaches, and they're no longer in that category. But to hear it from Ohio State, it's like yawn.
It's almost as be like Nick Saban. Yeah,
exactly.
It's tough being Alabama. It's really tough.
Well, the other thing too,
all of our 5-star recruits.
Yeah. Since when did Buckeyes come from Ohio? That was the other thing I thought. I was like, wait a minute. You're a national program. I mean, you do well in the Buckeye State. Don't get me wrong. But you get kids from all over. I mean, so yeah. Okay. It's me against the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's such an old and weak argument, except for a few schools. Indiana can pull it out and people go, okay, yep, everybody is against you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Not in basketball. Football, folks. Football.
There you go.
Don't send me an email.
That's right.
Nobody believed us. We were only ranked 4th in the country.
Well, do you remember when some of the Patriots were doing that after like their 4th or 5th Super Bowl? It's like nobody believed in us. It's like we all believed in you.
You were the favorite. Shut up.
Exactly. Ohio State off this week. It did get them up to only number 4. So, what are you going to do there? All right. Hey, stay with us here. Up next, we're talking about the big matchup in Lincoln, Michigan, number 2. Hey, it's a road game. Congratulations. You're going to leave Ann Arbor for this one. So they get out to take on Nebraska. And then again, the bus. Jerome Bettis is still on the way as well. Lots happening here. Speak Sports Radio. Stay with us.